Bellissimo.
Yes, 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 yes.
Here. Oh, it's so great. Man, how are you?
Okay, I'm fine, thank you. I see your long hair. Awesome.
Oh, man. Where are you?
In Warsaw.
Warsaw. Wow. Wow. Fantastic. And are you studying? Are you working? Are you
No,
playing?
I just started working um in a choir here.
Hmm.
I'm going to teach voice to the men's choir in the cathedral here in Warsaw. And I'm very excited to do that because it's a 30 years old choir, and they are super talented, and it's a very unique situation where they started the choir as a boys choir. They had an American Polish priest
Hmm.
that started the boys choir, and of course he conducted the choir for many decades, for I don't know, 20 decades, and he sadly passed away. I didn't meet him. He passed away some years ago, and the pupils carried the choir themselves.
Wow.
And it's this amazing, like, group of men that started singing together when they were 8 years old, 7 years old, and some of them have been singing in the choir since the first day. And they appear in front of me like for their first singing solo lesson, and I ask them like, how long have you been singing, and they say 30 years, and it's older than I have been alive. So it's a great, so it's my first job. It's still pretty tough because of the pandemics.
Yeah.
All jobs are just not happening. The
So
business
with
is pretty
singing,
soft.
what can you do with singing? Because that's one of the more dangerous musical things. You know.
Not muching than one by one teaching, and
Okay,
you
so
know
you're doing individual teaching, not
yeah, it's individual teaching.
not the whole chorus at once.
It's solo lessons for them because they already have the conductor, they already have the whole choir experience. They now are trying to, the next step is like making each individual more independent, I guess.
And how many are in the chorus?
There's a small choir. They might have 25, 30 choristers.
That's good. If they're good voices, that's great. That's wonderful.
They're very nice. I love them very much. And I just started. I'm very excited. And they sing in the cathedral in Old Town. So you imagine, like, I have to wake up and go to this horrible place, which is Warsaw Old Town, to the cathedral, and I have a key, and I get in the cathedral. I'm like, my God, what happened to me?
Better be careful.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's bloody amazing.
That's,
I'm very happy to be there.
that is fantastic. Oh, God. Yeah, what a blessing. That's great. I'm glad. I'm glad. And your fiance, is she with you there or
No, she doesn't work at this choir. No, no.
but she's there in Warsaw with you?
Yes, yes. She is studying in the Frederick Chopin University. She already has 3 degrees there, and she's doing her fourth, which is in singing. Yes, so she's extremely smart, extremely smart. It's ridiculous what that girl can do.
Is she a pianist also, or what other instruments does she play?
She is a pianist. Like, she studied piano since she was a kid. She did amazing things, like played concerts and everything. But then when it was time to the graduation bachelor's, she did sound engineering, and she did the first degree at sound engineering. Then she did her double masters, being in sound engineering too, and then in choir singing. and then she finished these two, and then she just started singing, like solo singing.
And what range is she? Soprano or
She's
mezzo?
a she's a mezzo. She's a mezzo soprano. She's a high mezzo soprano, and it's a baby voice, but it's got that warm color, and it's so amazing. And she has like perfect pitch. She plays the piano. She's a sound engineer. She speaks Polish, which is a superpower.
Oh yeah. And where's she from?
She's from here.
Oh,
She's from Warsaw.
okay.
Yes.
Oh, God. How's her English and Portuguese and Spanish?
Well, her English is better than mine,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, it's for sure better than mine. And I am studying Polish, which is
Not easy.
very hard. Yeah, it's really hard, and we even don't know why it is hard, you know?
Mm,
And what I have explained to people, it's like the declinations, but they don't know exactly what it is because English doesn't decline, neither does Portuguese. So for people that don't know, it's more like you have to agree the verbs with the person, for example. That's a conjugation. So I
yeah.
am, you are, he is, she is. And that happens in Polish also.
Sure.
But then they also agree the nouns, which is like coffee, kava. They
Hmm.
agree with the noun
Right.
with the verb and in what circumstances. So the nouns are also changed.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it's a nightmare because they can change according to seven cases.
Yes. Exactly. Of
Cafe, I mean cava can be said seven different times,
course.
seven different ways, and that applies to everything.
Nominative, genitive, dative, ablative, and accusative.
Yeah,
Five in Latin. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's not fun. It is fun because you learn the normal like cafe or coffee or box or piano, and you know how to say I want, and you cannot say I want cafe because if you
Right.
say I want, you have to change cafe,
Right.
and it's just bloody ridiculous. So you cannot hold a conversation,
No, you just keep quiet. That's
and
okay.
then you keep quiet. Yes, you keep quiet until you learn.
Great to see you, man.
I'm so happy to see you too. How is your wife doing?
Thank you. She's doing much better. It was a long summer, let me tell you. It was just really tough. It's interesting that you're working with the chorus there in Warsaw because from what I read and what I know of your life, you started at about 15 conducting a chorus, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
That is correct. I also started in a boys' choir. I was a boy singer,
so
and when it was time to go to the university, I was the conductor in a choir, and because I was a conductor, I played piano too.
ah,
So I had this tripod that was sustaining me. And at that time, I mean, I was 17 years old. I could not sing. My voice just didn't change yet completely.
mhm.
And in conducting, you cannot conduct anyone at 17. So I just chose piano, and I did 2 or 3 years of piano, but instead in studying the instrument solo, I was using it as a tool to choir and to singing. I was more a correpetitor, like accompanying singers and choirs.
Right, right.
And my piano professors were like, okay, but you gotta play the Beethoven sonata too. And I'm like, okay, I'm just working on that. I'm just working on that. And life just got me to this place with singing.
Yeah,
And I was watching more lessons with singing than with piano itself. And I got completely in love with singing, of course. And then I was actually I had a scholarship, and I had to play for two of the voice professors.
mm,
And I played for one of them since I got in the piano course for 2 years. And I, of course, I played the first semester. And then in the end of the second semester, I was like, hey, I would love to try it. And she said, hey, I'm busy. Then the third semester, I'm busy. The fourth semester, I said, like, I'm gonna ask her a last time. And I sent her an email, which I do remember sending. And she said, okay, I'm gonna open a spot for you in my class, in my studio. And it was so interesting because 3 months after she asked me like, so would be interested in changing from piano to singing? And I said, touche. That's exactly what I want to do. And then that's what I did. And then I did the whole course as a singer. Then I did my master's. That's when I met you.
Right. But you did, before you did your master's, you were in Brazil, correct?
Yes, my bachelor's was in Brazil. So I just had two voice professors in my life. I worked with a bunch of other amazing professionals, but it was more in a master class or a festival context. So I just had two voice professors.
Hmm. Then you came to Georgia. How did you come to Georgia?
I went to the university in Brazil one day, and my voice teacher in Brazil said we are receiving a guest professor, and she's from America, and she's offering a master class at the university because she is using the university to do her auditions to her program, to her opera program, and she would like to offer master classes, and I was one of the singers. I sang. I didn't speak one word in English, and the American professor had a Brazilian professor with her that helped with the translation and everything. And by the way, the American professor is Catherine Hartgrove, which I love so much, and she teaches at GSU. Catherine, if you're seeing that, miss you very much. And that's it. That's how I got invited. And I made Catherine wait for like 2 years because I said I cannot stop my graduation because I already stopped my piano graduation once. So I have to finish it, and I don't regret it.
No,
And she
that's
waited, and I went to America, to Georgia,
well, she
where I learned English.
right very well, in fact. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and then she was the one who recommended. I think it was she or the other professor who recommended you to us at the Atlanta Musicians Orchestra. And yeah, we did what? We did at least two concerts together, didn't we? We
We
did.
did two amazing concerts, one with Bernstein and another one with romantic arias from Puccini and just light stuff, light repertoire.
Yeah.
Cavaradossi and
And it was you're such a good person to collaborate with. To work.
oh no, maestro, no, you are so generous,
Thank
so
you. No,
generous.
it's mutual, and it's not always that. We have had many soloists, and we've been very lucky. Not just vocal. We've had a lot of, piano, violin concerti, cello concerti, and so on. And it's been a blessing. I mean, the orchestra loves having you. They love. I don't know if you've seen any of the interviews that we've already put up, but um, I'd say a good third, if I asked them which was their favorite concert in the last 7, 8 years, they say, "Oh, with the two singers, the two singers." I said, well, "Which one we did too?" I said, "Both of them."
They were amazing concerts, and I'm looking forward for the next opportunities
Yeah,
because I'm sure it will happen again. And your orchestra is so special. To have a community orchestra is something fundamental to a society, and it's extremely important to what the work you and them do, and they do.
say it's really a family, and then involved in that family is the retirement home, the Bremen home that's there, and we
That
had
is exactly right. I remember when I was like asking for help to move to Europe, which was not easy, and your musicians were like, "We want to help you as much as we can," and they made donations. They came to my recital. They were actively taking and being a part of a very important time of my life, and I am eternally grateful for their help. So send my regards to them, and if you are watching this, thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit. Tell me, of all the concerts you've done, I mean, seriously, all the roles you've played, what was the most challenging and what was the most gratifying? And maybe what was the most fun?
That's a very hard question because there are different challenges.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna tell you one in Brazil that I did. I'm not gonna choose one of my concerts as a singer. Was as a conductor. As I told you, I was the conductor of this boys choir, and they make part of an organization, an international organization that's called Pueri Cantores, which is a Catholic federation of choirs throughout the world. And in many of them, it's very common here in Europe. I am sure there are many in America too, and of course in Brazil we had some. And then we had like festivals of just these 12 choirs, and we rotated who would like receive the 12 choirs, and the last time was me and my choir, so we were hosting 12 choirs together. So that resulted in approximately 800 singers.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And they rehearse in advance, like it's a whole year to prepare that. And we sent out the repertoire. And because I was the host conductor, I got to conduct the mass, the final mass. And it was so special because we did the coronazione,
Incarnation.
coronation mass by Mozart, with 800 children and teenagers singing it.
It's unbelievable.
And I was about like 21. It's unbelievable what happened. It's unbelievable.
What a blessing, though. What an
Yeah,
experience, too.
yeah.
It's one of those experiences, I think, I don't know about you, where afterwards a few days later, you think, wait, did I really do that?
Yes.
And can I do it again?
I the way I explain that to myself, it's like I didn't know it was impossible, so I just did it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Because nowadays I would be so overwhelmed, but my God, I have to do all of this, and we probably block ourselves because we understand more.
You were
Did
too.
I burn myself? Yes, a little bit I did. But it's worth it. It was worth it. And it's an incredible concert I have with me.
Fantastic.
And
And
it's pretty unique.
what about solos? What's your favorite role? What so far, anyway?
Hmm. Each role is so unique.
Mm, mm,
Um, that probably the one I got to do on stage was Don Giovanni. He's such a complex guy to play, so it gives you so many um, emotions, and where you can play it so many ways, and he's full of bad emotions which are actually even more exciting.
exactly. Exactly.
You have the excitement of doing something and the bad excitement of doing something bad, so it's twice it's exciting. And it's Don Giovanni, I don't need to explain him. He's just excited all the time.
If you have the chance at some point, you should read the Danish philosopher Kierkegaard, and he wrote a whole story or excerpt on analysis of Don Giovanni as the greatest opera ever written. And it's very interesting. Very,
And the most interesting thing is Don Giovanni is an anti-hero because people go to watch his opera and he does what he does, and people still liking Don Giovanni.
oh, yeah, of course. Well, it's just a mess.
It might be a little bit of identification. It it's something like Don Giovanni has a big chunk of our personality
Exactly. It
that
could,
we don't let out, of course, because we're civilized. But
but it could also be denial.
yeah, but it's there, and people just.
I'm not like
And of course, this stage is a very safe place to do that and to talk about it.
Oh,
So it's worth it.
is there any role you're really incredibly anxious to prepare for? And
I would love to sing the Verdi baritone like Rigoletto.
yeah,
My God, I wait anxiously to see what my voice is gonna do.
mm,
I don't know. I really don't know if I'm gonna if I'll get to sing this.
yeah, you will.
And also there is the baritone in Andrea Chenier.
Mhm.
Um, that it's unbelievable to me. So these two roles I would love to sing, and to sing in Pagliacci too.
Yes.
So I my what makes my heart really beat faster is more the romantic late Verdi, beginning of Verismo.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm gonna get to sing that.
You're young. You will. I'm
I'm
sure.
young, yes. We have to wait like 20 years to see how what happens.
Well, and it'd be interesting, I mean, so many musicians will either sing a role or play a piece on whatever instrument, and then 10 years later come back to it, and it's totally different. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's
the timing for a singer to be on those roles, it's really weird because it does require you to be emotionally ready
right.
and vocally ready, and you cannot do that before you're 35, 37. It's gonna kill yourself, so you have to play all the Mozarts before, all the bel canto, the Bellini, Donizetti, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, with all the respect, to try to have a chance on those repertoire. It's really a school of life.
Yeah,
It's really a school. It's just a personal it's just a personal thing that I cannot explain either.
of course. Well,
It's just exciting to me, and
and it's good to always push yourself, to the
yeah, it's a big push.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, well, you sang with the Atlanta opera, didn't you?
I did sing with Atlanta Opera. I miss those people so much here.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the conductor, my dear conductor and friend Rolando Salazar,
Yeah, yeah.
so much. Um, and I also Jessica Kiger and all my co-workers at the Atlanta Opera that are so dear to me.
Yeah.
So in the Atlanta Opera, I was part of the choir, and I also did secondary roles in some of the main productions. They like little solos, like 2 page solos, 1 page solos, and I it was amazing to be on stage and see some very wild singers doing their thing in front of your eyes. So it was very good. And I also took part in the Atlanta Opera Studio
Ah,
tour. So yeah, we did a production of The Barber of Seville, and I was the barber, and I probably sang that role about 200 times, really, really many times. And then we did the Hansel and Gretel,
yes, yeah.
yeah, by Humpenbricks, and it was amazing too.
Who
And I
can?
had like I sang the father, which is a little lighter than the Figaro. Figaro is on the stage all the time.
It's great. Yeah, yeah. That's wonderful. So your plans are basically to stay in Warsaw for a bit. Yeah.
Well, my plans right now it's to survive the pandemics, being very realistic,
Yeah.
and getting prepared to what can come up after that.
Mm,
Um, it's a time that it requires patience. It
absolutely.
requires patience. Um, and after that, Europe, it's just a train.
I'm sorry.
That's why I moved here. So I'm gonna be based in Warsaw because that's where my future family is already. So I'm gonna have a Warsaw is my new home, but I do plan to go places and do stuff because opera is still very international after all, and I have all these language to learn, all these repertoires to understand, and it's a different thing from learning the repertoires in the countries they were created, and
Absolutely.
have that's something I want to do. I want to go to Italy and have my Don Giovanni coached by the Italians,
Yeah.
or I want to go to France and have my Valentin doing, you know, and I want to sing the Polish repertoire too. And I want to go to Russia, which is
Yeah.
5 hours from here, and have Eugenio Onegin coached by a Russian. And that, excuse me, I just can't have here. I could not have that in America
No, I mean, it's just,
easily.
and where you are is so centrally located. Transportation,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I mean, I'm 5 hours from Berlin
yeah, yeah, exactly.
by car. So it's unbelievable where I am, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm very sorry the pandemic happened, the way it hit here, and it's a serious matter.
Yeah.
But it's not eternal.
No, no,
It's not eternal. So that's my plan. That's my plan.
great. Well, let me ask you some sort of personal questions. What's your favorite word or quotation, if you have one?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Hmm. There is um, the last strophe in one of Mahler's Lied that really touched me for a lot of time. Ich liebe allein in meine Himmel, in meine in meinen Himmel, in meine Himmel. I have to check that exactly, but it's so beautiful. I don't know, Maestro. I have to think a little bit more. It's there are so many. They just crossed my head and I had a blank. So
Uh,
many good phrases.
yeah, send it to me and I'll put it at the bottom of the video. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Nice. What sound or noise do you love?
Voice.
All voices?
Not all voices. No,
All
honestly, not
voices.
all voices. And I'm talking about the voice in itself. I'm not talking about singing. There are some voices that I just can't stand, and it's a personal thing that I can also not explain.
Well,
Yeah.
resonance, and it's there are some resonances between people that are just fabulous, and some that are,
Yes.
really.
And the sound that I most hate
Yes, that was the next.
is a car crashing.
Yes.
When that
Mhm.
when the car crashes, it's a sound that makes me
You're actually the second
freeze.
person in the interview. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a rare sound, but I heard it sometimes and it's not good.
yeah, yeah, me too. What profession, other than the one that you have now, would you?
Psychologist.
Uh,
And
interesting.
I also would like to be a monk.
Hmm.
Monk one day in another life, maybe. But in this life, I'm very inclined to psychology.
Interesting. And
Very, very, very much. It's probably the human aspect of it, the behaviors and the possibilities and how people organize their brain and how they perceive stuff. That's how can people see different things on the same object.
exactly,
That's really fascinating to me, and music is that.
it's exactly. And theater, certainly, opera and theater, is certainly that, because you're creating a world which is perceived differently by everybody in that audience every night. You know.
Yeah, and there the universal aspect of psychology and art, which is the same, which is the same. Music, opera, my God, opera is the most complex art, I guess, art form, because it has so many art forms together and they all align at the same narrative, just like life,
Exactly.
just like life. And then when we matter, like what matters in life and what matters for you in opera, and then you break these many layers, and that says about your personality, because that's how you, why do you pay attention to the oboe instead the violin, and why do you pay attention to the conductor and not to the timpani player?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
all playing at the same time, and that's fascinating to me. So I would be a psychologist for sure.
I think, when you conduct, you sort of have to be a psychologist too. You
Yeah, because you probably have to lead people to do their thing, which is not yours, and you are this professional. Like, yeah, you're very right on that.
know?
You're very correct.
You can bring 40, 80, 1,000 people together who all have their own idea of how it should be. They all have their own technical abilities. They all have their own technical limitations. And you've got to try and make it a unified work. And it's amazing. It's really amazing.
And it's like also a stereotype of like a dad. It can be tyrannical,
Right.
but it can also push you to produce your best
Yeah.
through asking you to to produce it. The conductor profession is also very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
No, it is a sort of mixture of being strict and yet also letting them bring out the beauty and the capabilities that they have, you know, and not squashing that. I mean, until about 30 or 40 years ago, it was pretty tyrannical. A lot of conductors, and there were some marvelous results. But certainly, in a chorus of human voices and in a community orchestra, in my case, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and even in the professional world too, the tyrannical conductor is a figure that it's condemned.
It's
It cannot exist. It just cannot, because we already understood that we just cannot do what make art in these circumstances.
yeah,
It's just
that-
too tyrannical. You don't have space, and you need freedom,
yeah, and
just like life.
all those
Just like
pieces have to be brought together to form one whole,
exactly, exactly.
and that's not terribly easy, is it? But it's very satisfying. It's really satisfying. Well, are you reading anything now for yourself besides music?
Hmm. Well, I am studying uh, psychology in my free time in the pandemics, and that's what I am studying right now. I'm doing a course by Jordan Peterson that it's called Maps of Meaning.
Mm,
So it we study in 40 hours. It's pretty long and intense. How human beings perceive everything, how they process it, how they behave in it, how they answer in it, and I mean, at least how is it possible? So that's what I'm doing right now. And there is and every time we study this, I we we have we have examples, and something that I am inclined to read, but I'm not doing it right now because I don't want to go in front of the course in itself. So I'm doing one thing at a time because I'm like that. I need to understand a little bit better for personal reasons. How was the Russian Revolution, the communism, because it was highly affecting Poland. It is highly affecting Poland still in the mentality of the society, and that it's really fascinating to me. And I am also personally exposed to that.
uh, sure.
So at some point, I was talking to my friend Nayara yesterday. She's from Brazil and she's a social assistant there. You're gonna laugh at me, but I never read the Marx
Mhm.
communism books. So I have to might have a look at that and get a little political and understand that a little better, because being from Brazil, I just didn't have this.
Sure, sure.
It's really new to me. I know a lot of things from there, but that's new to me here.
Well, yeah, you're living in a place that was deeply affected by it, and
Absolutely. And the Slavic world,
yeah,
it's another world. It's not European exactly.
yeah.
It's not even from Latin, like from where Italy is. There is a world in difference.
Well,
And
many.
America, it's magnificent and very plural and very happy as Bernstein is. But you said to me that Bernstein is the best of America. In and I never forgot this definition that I do agree with.
Yeah, Bernstein and Copeland, really. Copeland is, expresses that beautifully.
And Bernstein also he got some stuff from South Central America. When he wrote his Mambo,
Yeah.
it's pretty unique what that man did. It's pretty unique, and I had the opportunity to watch a recording of Mambo being played
Dudamel?
by no, Dudamel is the best on that because he's from Venezuela, but um, in Berlin Philharmonic.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And the Germans didn't get it. They
Yeah,
didn't get it at the high. Of course, it's a remarkable orchestra, but Dudamel, he's got
it's in him.
that Central American, South American swing that's so amazing.
Great. I mean, he has so much fun conducting it. It's just wonderful, And the musicians there, I've seen several.
They answer to it.
Yeah,
They answer to it.
exactly. Well, speaking of the Berlin, I've just been watching this new conductor with the Berlin. It was absolutely fantastic.
Kirill Petrenko.
Yes, Petrenko. He's absolutely wonderful.
Yes, he is. And Berlin is wonderful.
Oh,
And I lived in Berlin during the first wave of the pandemic. I got stuck there.
oh,
So
it's a
I,
great city. It's
I saw the spring
oh,
in Berlin for the first time, but it was during the pandemic, so I have mixed feelings.
yeah,
I
sure.
have mixed feelings about Berlin. It's a beautiful city that I I could not go anywhere. Everything was closed.
Yeah,
I lived there for 3 months, and I was basically stuck in my apartment.
yeah, yeah.
And then one day, on the end, I said like, I gotta see Berlin, and I could not even get the public transportation, so I landed, I borrowed a bike, really, and I called a friend from America, Christopher, and said, let's go, let's just bike in downtown and see. Berlin doesn't have a downtown, but the historical, like, so that's when I saw everything in Berlin, and it's majestic.
Incredible. Yeah, and talk about
It's
history, and
incredible.
yeah, and yeah, and now the confrontation and the mixture and the assimilation now of East and West cultures. It's really quite an experience there. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, are you practicing any roles right now? Or are you working on anything musically?
Okay. um I am, but very carefully. um because of the pandemics, I got pretty stuck in places that I could not sing because of my neighbors.
Mm, wow.
And hmm, I was living in a communist building.
Mm,
That's how affected I was by it. And it was built and it's really common in Poland. So the walls are really thin because they were saving money. So I could not sing, and I could not. I was not working, so I couldn't rent a place to sing. So I was like doing just what involves studying without singing. just getting to know repertoires and etc. But now that I'm working a little bit and I got in a better situation, I am studying a little bit of Eugenio Onegin, but I'm going very carefully with that because of the Russian, which is pretty new to me. Russian is a very different language, of course, and there is no many people that can coach us on doing that. So I'm doing that, and I'm also building up the counts in Guglielmo, in Così e Le Nozze di Figaro,
Yeah.
which is standard repertoire.
Yeah.
So I'm always keeping that alive and keeping the technique uh, going, which is pretty demanding already.
Do you have a teacher there?
I'm sorry, have what?
Do you have a teacher at the moment?
No, because of the pandemic and because of the specificity of my place where I am right now. I'm not a singer that it's being built anymore.
Mm.
So I need someone that it's really specific in some points of the technique that I need to work, of course, and I want to, but I just didn't find this person yet. And the pandemic still is affecting us because we are on the second wave. So traveling is still complicated, and I have to afford for those lessons with very good professionals, and they have good rates and fees. So it's not very easy right now, and it's still really soon, like really early. I just got here basically.
Yeah. What are you teaching? What are you going to teach with the chorus?
I am working with them individually,
Right.
and what I see that they need to understand, because that's very interesting. They can function very well, but they don't know what they do.
Hmm. Hmm.
And more amazing, some of these guys sing as countertenors because they just kept singing. So their body went through a process that it's pretty unique. You cannot find that everywhere. Of a man that sang since kid on the soprano and kept singing, kept singing, kept singing. So the body just answered to that, but they don't know. And it's pretty different from a guy that gets in the university and says, I want to study as a countertenor.
Right.
And then the professor says, oh, okay, so let's work and build your voice. Their body is already built in it. So
Right.
there is a big work on making them conscious of what you are already doing, because it's not possible to me to teach a person that is singing for 30 years what they should do. I'm not that's not what I can do. It's just help them to understand their bodies better. That's a big chunk of it. And understanding differences between head voice and falsetto,
Hmm.
because the sound is really close if you sing piano in head voice or a falsetto.
Yeah.
The only thing that can differentiate you, it's a little bit of the sensation you have. So I have to explain that to them, and I have to learn them one by one too.
It'd be interesting once they get conscious of it. It might actually throw them off for a little bit. Until then, they're used to controlling.
Yes, and then I am asking them a different approach to the voice, because they are also very used to blend their sounds
Mhm.
in
Sure.
a instinctive way.
Mhm.
So they just start singing and they blend. And in order to do this blending, they sometimes go to falsetto too early, and they don't know how to access chest voice in that area
Right.
because they have never done that. So that's also that I have to do and work with them with the emotional part of singing, because in a choir you rarely have time to say, what do you feel when you do that? Why is your body doing this and that? Why do you breathe like this? Where are you imagining the sound? So it's pretty different when you sing solo in choir. So
So,
that's what I'm doing then.
so you're a good psychologist.
I might just conduct an orchestra in the future then.
Yeah, I have to look at Samuel. Um, since I forgot to ask you at the beginning, why don't you tell us who you are and what your profession is?
So for those that don't know me, I'm Samuel Ferreira. I'm a guy from Brazil, and I do sing. Singing is my life and profession. Um, and
Yeah.
it's pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
And you're a baritone,
I'm
mainly.
a baritone, yes, I'm a baritone, and I got connected to Maestro Dalan in Atlanta when I was doing my master's, and it was amazing. It was really nice to get to know you and the orchestra.
Thank you. But let me ask you my often asked question at the end of my interviews.
Oh my God, I'm scared.
Could be the question. Um, Samuel, there you go. Now you're live again. Samuel, if heaven exists, what would you like St. Peter to say when you arrive at the big gates of heaven?
What I would like to hear from Peter in the gates of heaven. I need to get you back there to help some people.
There's the third tenor in the fourth row who's always out of time. He's open yours. Go get him.
That's an amazing question. It's so good.
Thank you. Oh, Samuel, it is so great to see you. I'm so grateful for your time and your always enthusiasm and joie de vivre and your
It's
graciousness.
it's my absolutely pleasure. Oh my God, we have been talking for almost an hour and I didn't feel it at all, at all. And because I feel very, very relaxed with you and with your orchestra. So this is a very personal approach to everything I said. It's I don't I don't like to say what's right. I like to say what's true.
Mm, yeah.
And that can be a little like unusual to some people because people like to listen to what is true so they don't get to what is usual, to what's right, so they don't get scared. And that's not my approach either in life and either in my job. But you can know it's very honest and very loving. It's very sincere, everything I said.
You have a great generosity of spirit, and that's what
Thank you.
is very contagious about being working with you and being your friend. It's lovely. It's really lovely.
Maestro, I also want to end like with a fun fact.
Mm.
So we finished one of the concerts because the orchestra doesn't know it. We finished one of the concerts and we had to a amazing Mexican restaurant in Atlanta that I didn't know of.
Mm.
And we had a couple of margaritas and we were very happy with the result. And it was summer, it was hot, and the margaritas were so generous. They were so big. Georgia in summer, 120 degrees, like, oh my God, after concert in a Sunday, you just want to have a margarita. So we had a margarita and it was very busy place. It was a very busy place. So many of you were sitting on that gigantic table, and I sat there on the corner with the maestro, and we each one made ask for their food. But I don't know because the maestro asked me to sing Puccini. I was extremely hungry, so as soon the food got in front of me, I ate it.
That was my dinner.
But the food was not mine.
Right. It was my dinner. Thank you, Samuel.
It was delicious. It was really good. You chose very well to me. Thank you. That's so funny. I will never forget. I got so embarrassed because I ate the maestro's food after the concert. Like, you should not do that. I got so embarrassed. Ah, Deus.
Well, on that note, I'm going to say adieu, and hopefully let's talk a little bit more often. It's really lovely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Being,
Un bacio, maestro.
Bacio,
Grazie mille.
love you dearly. Love from Honora, and I will pass your love on to Honora and to the orchestra.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay.